Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk Autism. I'm Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson.
And I'm Shannon Penrod.
Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy.
Hence,
yes. Hi, my friend.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good.
You look beautiful.
Well, thank you. It's
You're rocking the red and blue.
I'm rocking the red and black, actually.
Black, I'm sorry.
You're
I know my
rocking
colors.
You're rocking the white and blue, so we're very patriotic today.
I think black.
Okay.
I think that's why.
So there's a lot in the news.
A lot in the news.
Yes,
Lots to cover.
including some controversial things and some really encouraging things. What about this $28 million study, Shannon, out of the Yale School of Medicine, a 4-year, $28 million national study that could help improve the way children with autism spectrum disorders are treated?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this because this study seeks to identify biological markers which are measurable indicators of a biological state or condition. So on the very basic level, we talk all the time about how important it would be to phenotype autism.
Right.
That all kids, we know that it's a huge spectrum and all kids on the spectrum are individual, but that there are patterns that we see with certain kids.
Yes.
That, I'm excited as a mom when I meet kids who have the same patterns as Jem. Because
Right.
I want to talk to those moms and go, what did you do? What worked? What didn't work?
Of course, I do that all the time.
And so we're always looking to, I always say, remember back in the 1920s when they said cancer and it was all encompassing, right? And they didn't talk about slow growing, tumors that are on the liver, right? Which they now treat in a specific way. We need to get to that with autism, and that's phenotyping autism.
Okay.
So they're going to be looking over a 4-year period at individuals all over the country. They've got different centers set up. They're going to be collecting blood DNA samples from the children as well as their parents and be grouping them. There'll be surveys and they'll be grouping them into different kinds of groups so that hopefully we will begin to see those patterns emerge. We've needed a large base to do this.
Right, and it sounds like it is a large base. They'll collect data in Connecticut from preschoolers and school-age children affected by ASD, and then it'll be evaluated alongside data from 4 other locations: Duke University, in North Carolina, Boston Children's University, and UCLA, Los Angeles, UCLA. That is, hello, blonde moment. Not really blonde.
It's that kind of day.
The University of Washington.
Isn't that amazing?
And it's being led by James McPartland, Associate Professor at Yale Child Studies Center. So,
and I love some of the partners
exciting.
on this, the National Institute for Mental Health, the Foundation for National, which has been hand in hand with that IAN study, that ongoing IAN study. So really reputable. We're really excited about this. $28 million is nothing to sneeze at.
No, not at all.
This could be a game changer.
Another study, genetics may help predict if syndrome leads to autism or psychosis. Now, this was news to me because I had never heard of this syndrome. Children with Digeorge syndrome, that is spelled D-I, capital George, I imagine it's named after somebody, a disorder characterized by the deletion of several genes on the 22nd chromosome, have a significantly higher risk of developing either psychosis or autism spectrum disorder. But until now, there has been no way to predict which path a child with Digeorge may follow. But in a new study at University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, and the University of Pittsburgh, they're the first to suggest a potential way to make that determined in patients with Digeorge. They report having isolated specific genetic differences between those with autism and those with the psychosis. Now, what I was really surprised about is that Digeorge syndrome is the second most common genetic abnormality after Down syndrome, which my brother had, affecting approximately 1 in 2,500 children born worldwide. I had never heard of this syndrome. Had you?
I had never heard of this either, although when we have had people on talking about reasons for doing genetic testing, they tell us that they have been able, in the last 3 years, they have been able to identify that there are different chromosomal abnormalities and that there are different ways that they might need to approach something. I don't think they've been as specific with us as talking about Digeorge, but this to me just gives us one more reason why we should do that genetic testing. And you've got some exciting information about that we're going to cover a little bit later in the show.
Yes. Back to this, the diagnosis of Digeorge and autism. A small number of kids are diagnosed with both. Now, just to tell you what Digeorge, what children have with Digeorge, they often have elongated faces, almond-shaped eyes, and unusual outer ears. The almond-shaped eyes goes with Down syndrome. That's a common to that. They frequently have palate abnormalities, including cleft palate, and they are at elevated risk for cardiovascular defects, which also Down syndrome. So the hope is that eventually we could identify individuals at risk for either disorder with a blood sample, said lead author Maria, I won't even butcher her name, a postdoctorate fellow in the lab. So that is exciting, especially for those families that have, Digeorge syndrome.
Absolutely. And then I always find it interesting when we get studies that explain away that there isn't a rise in autism, that it's just a difference in how we're diagnosing.
Yeah, I love those too.
So this
obviously you can tell what we feel about that.
But this is a new study that's been published in the American Journal of Medical Genetics. So this is nothing to sneeze at, right? At Pennsylvania State University, they looked at children from 2000. The fact that it more than tripled the rate of diagnosis from 2000 to 2010, but they are saying that based on their study that this is because of the way in which we are diagnosing.
Well, Dr. Dorian Granpeesheh would disagree with that.
I think a lot of people would disagree with that.
She has disagreed, and she said that, that has the assumption that as professionals in the field, we were not diagnosing correctly. And I can't speak scientifically to it, but where are all the adults out there with autism that escaped? They're not.
Can I tell you, and this is partly what's addressed in here, because they say that previously they were diagnosed as being developmentally disabled, intellectually disabled. And again, you say, well, where are they all? That when I asked that question of Sarah Gershfeld, who is the head of Love My Provider, and she's a BCBA, and she was part of the project when, I guess 10 years ago, when they went into the group homes here in Los Angeles, and she said, I can tell you where they are. She said, I absolutely can tell you where they are, that you would be amazed.
In the group homes?
Yeah. That's where they were, and now they've been farmed out to other places, but that they were institutionalized. That's why we never saw them. So I don't know, but I don't think it explains away the huge difference.
No.
I don't think, that there would
ask any school teacher.
There would have to be a continent of people someplace.
Ask any school teacher about the number of kids she had coming in 20 years ago, and I have a friend who's taught kindergarten for 30 years.
Yeah.
And the increase is so dramatic. And I just want to point out that it was published in the American Journal of Medical Genetics, which often discounts any environmental triggers in autism as being that important. But one of the things that was interesting to me in this article was there was a picture of a little boy getting on a plane, and he had an autism ribbon on a thing around his neck, and it says VIP. I don't know whether the airline gave him this, but it might be something that parents might want to do when they travel.
We should look into that.
Yeah, is put an autism ribbon. So when their child, if they do have a meltdown, which my son has had many of those on a plane, it helps people understand.
Yeah, I have to say that when we go on outings and go places, like if we go to a museum, usually the hat that I choose to wear and that I put on my son as well, we wear Autism Speaks hats, because it's not me putting on a thing going, my child has autism.
Right.
But if something happens, I think people see the puzzle piece and cut us some slack.
They understand more. Correct. Yeah, I see that. Wyatt won't wear hats, so that's not an option for me. Okay.
We'll get you a T-shirt.
Okay. Well, he has the Friend of Temple T-shirt.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the one. Okay. Although I don't know that everybody knows who Temple is outside
that's
our
true.
community,
And we have Act Today T-shirts, so
there you go.
I'll do that.
There you go. Okay, so we have a great guest today.
We do.
Or do you want to cover this horrible story about the doctor?
Why don't we do that later, and why don't we cover the card and Act Today event that's going on for genetic testing for military families. It's a last reminder if there are any families out there to register if they haven't done so, so we'll do that. And we'll cover that when we get back.
Okay,
So let's get
so
to
we've got a
Anthony.
great guest, Anthony De La Rosa. He's been with us before, talking with us about the 2015 Ride for Autism.
Which Act Today is very happy to be
one of the
one of the
right?
recipients. Yes.
Fabulous. So more from Anthony De La Rosa after these messages. Stick with us.
What would you do if your child was hurting?
If your family's future was uncertain.
If help seemed out of reach.
Have you been given no hope?
Taka means I am not alone in this.
This is the reality for families affected by autism, and today, the number of children with autism is growing more rapidly than ever. Taka unites these families and shows that they do not have to fight this battle alone.
Our oldest son, Jared, who has autism, when we first took him to the doctor to get the diagnosis, you know, it's so sad because they offer you nothing. There's no help, there's no hope.
One of the things that you learn with autism is being very grateful for even the small milestones. You know, when you first get the diagnosis, you go through all the range of emotions. You know, this can't be happening. Why is this happening? You have to get to a point where it's the emotion that has to be leading is, what can I do? The first thing that struck me was walking to a room and seeing, oh my gosh, we're not alone. And there is this very strong community that's already set. And something I still today associate with Taka the most is hope. To me, that's what Taka means. Taka means hope.
It's like you've got all these dreams and goals of what your son's gonna do, and you get your diagnosis and you're sent home. And that's it. There's no plan of action. There's no, here's autism, here's what we're gonna do to make your life better and help him. It's strictly go home and try to process it and go on the internet. It was devastating, and you just, you know, you go through this 3-week of depression and then you snap out of it. You have to. And then you start making phone calls and trying to figure out what is autism and what are we gonna do? And then we found Taka, and it was life-changing.
Autism, there really is no definitive answer. It is trying to find the resources that are out there that can assist you to help your child so that, you know, you just don't feel so helpless at those particular moments.
There was direction and there was hope and there was a little ray of sunshine that he's gonna be okay and we're gonna be okay. I always look back and think we would never be where we are. Carson wouldn't be where he is at without Taka.
So 13 years ago, my son was diagnosed with autism, and that put our whole family into a tailspin. There were so many different ideas and things that were not proven. Nobody knew what guidance to give us. We had no direction. And then we found Taka. They helped give us a path to follow, help give our son a better future and make him healthy and put him back onto the road of recovery. When your son's first diagnosed, the first thing you hope for is, gosh, I just want my son to speak. I just want to be able to communicate with him in some way. Then you want a little more. You want him to go to a regular school. Then you want him to potentially have a real life and go to college. So you're always hoping for the future of your child. My son is a happy, healthy, vibrant young boy that's going to turn 15 really soon. And we couldn't be more pleased, and without Taka, I don't think we'd be in the place that we are today. We believe the future is not defined for many affected by autism. There is hope and direction for these kids and their families. Taka is dedicated to providing community, support, education, and hope to families affected by autism.
At Taka,
At Taka,
At Taka,
We are families with autism helping.
helping.
helping families.
helping families with autism.
Hi, my name is Matt. I am 19 years old, and I was diagnosed with autism when I was 6 years old. Autism is one of the fastest growing developmental disabilities in the United States, but I am living proof that with the right treatment, hope is possible. My future is not limited. Today, I am attending Fullerton Community College, and I run for the cross-country team for fun with my friends. It makes me feel proud when I think about my progress. Chances are you know someone affected by autism, show them they are not alone, and help others get on the road to recovery. Contribute to Talk About Curing Autism today.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy.
And we have a great guest joining us. He's been with us before. Please welcome Anthony De La Rosa. Hello, Anthony.
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
Oh, it's so glad. Shannon and I are so happy to have you on the show. Anthony is the parent of a 19-year-old daughter with autism. He also has 2 other typical kids. And he is a co-founder of the Ride for Autism, as well as this year's events chair. Anthony, this is such an amazing event. Act Today is one of the beneficiaries. We are so grateful to you for what you do. Can you tell us a little bit about how this came about and how many years it's gone on?
Well, sure. Let me see. Probably about 12 years back, my wife was involved with Cure Autism Now, and they had this huge walk. I think the first one was at Dodger Stadium. Well, anyway, the thing is, at that time, I told my wife, I'm not much of a walker. I'm more of a rider, So the following week, we approached that organization and we said, hey, can we do a motorcycle fundraiser? And so that's how it started, and that's how I met Doug. Who is the co-founder along with Pat, my wife. And about 3 or 4 years after we did our first motorcycle fundraiser, we decided, you know what, we can do this on our own, and we can keep or benefit local organizations and give back to the community that way. And so that's what we did. We incorporated, we became a 501c3 in 2008, and we've been doing that ever since. To date, we have raised a little over $300,000, in the 8 years that we've been doing this, and we've benefited numerous organizations. With this year, including Act Today for military families.
Yeah, you're doing our Act Today for Military Family program, and I'm hats off to you. It's 100%, or should I say helmets, 100% volunteer organization. Your budget is usually zero. You have done such great things. Now, I love this event. I can't come on Saturday, but I know Luis from our office is going to be there. What I love is seeing...
And you can hear a Hemi.
What was that? Oh, I hear a motorcycle.
We're hearing motorcycles.
What's that from? Okay, whatever. I just heard a motorcycle in my IFB. At any rate, I just wanted to say that the sight of these hundreds of cyclists coming in on their Harleys and different types. My son, we were watching them come in with the police escort. It is so inspiring and wonderful and fun. But there have been some changes this year, Anthony. Where is the location this year?
Well, this year we still start at our home, Laidlaw's Harley-Davidson, who has really opened their arms to us and have given us a home. But so we ride from Laidlaw's Harley-Davidson in Baldwin Park.
Okay.
We ride to Original Mike's in Santa Ana.
Santa Ana, okay. Original Mike's in Santa Ana.
That's right. We end in Santa Ana this year.
Okay.
So to date, we have about 200 pre-registered riders and passengers and party-only folks.
Well, let's tell them right now, if they want to can they still get in the ride if they want to?
Oh, sure.
Okay, how do they
online
find out?
registration is still open until Friday.
And where do they go?
10 p.m. And they go to www.rideforautism.org.
And is
That's
it 4
word,
spelled out or 4 as a number?
4 as in F-O-R, 4
Okay.
as spelled out, yes.
Okay, great. All right, so if you're still interested in getting in on the ride, also if you're interested in attending the party, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Oh, and speaking of the party, we have an awesome band playing at Original Mike's. There's the Angel City Devils. These guys are a bunch of session musicians that have played with bands like the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin. and other great bands. And they'll be joined by Rob Morrow, who is the Emmy-nominated star of Numbers and Northern Exposure. He'll be playing a few songs with the band over at
Really?
Original Mics.
I didn't know that Rob was a musician. That's interesting. And
Rob plays guitar. And if you go to our Facebook page, Rob put up a short video inviting everyone to Original Mics and to donate to Ride for Autism.
Well, good for him. Thank you, Rob Morrow, for being a stand-up guy and doing that. Well, the after party is just great fun. So everybody, please go to the website, find out information, show up, support some great organizations. Anthony, anything else you want to tell us? Anything else you want to say?
Well, tonight we also have another fundraising event at the Santa Monica Comedy Theater,
Okay.
and it's Karmic Comedy. So if you just Google Karmic Comedy, that should come up. Proceeds to that show tonight at 8 p.m. benefits Ride for Autism. So if you love to laugh, that would be the place to go tonight. And then on Saturday, it's the Ride for Autism. Registration and check-in starts at 8:30 a.m. at Laidlaw's Harley-Davidson in Baldwin Park. You can also check in and register about 11 a.m. at Original Mics. You don't have to ride a motorcycle to donate to Ride for Autism. You can go online or you can show up at Original Mics for the party. That's Saturday, August 1st. Okay?
Thank you, Anthony. You said it beautifully. And thank you for your dedication to this cause. Our best to you and your family. It's going to be a great event.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And maybe next year we'll see you guys there.
I'll see you there
I'm going to
next
try
year.
to be there on
Shannon's
Saturday.
going to try and come.
Excellent.
So
I look forward to
we
it. So
hope
just,
to see
you know, hit me, pinch me, punch me in the arm or
I
something.
will.
Okay?
I'll find you. I'm just not going to roll over you with a motorcycle. Anything but that. Thanks, Anthony.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Wonderful.
It's such a great event, Shannon. I hope you can make it.
I've always wanted to go,
Yeah.
and so I'm excited at the
I'll
opportunity.
be at the Summer Swab Spectacular, which we're going to tell you about when we come back, right?
Yes, we're going to take a break, and we're going to talk about that. Stick
Okay,
with
great.
us.
It's every parent's desire for their child to have a great start in life. Yet there is a condition affecting more children's lives than pediatric cancer, diabetes, and AIDS combined. Autism strikes 1 in every 150 children.
Today, 1 in 110 kids in the U.S. will be diagnosed with autism. That is a huge jump from 30 years ago when it was 1 in 30,000.
Startling new report finds the number of children with autism is skyrocketing. The Centers for Disease Control estimates 1 in 68 children has a form of autism. Now that's a 30% increase in just 2 years.
Well, a lot of this with all the accomplishments over the last 20 years, I'm thrilled.
I think what kept me was the feeling that, you know, I would have a parent come to my office late at night at UCLA and just fall apart. And this is a long time ago. There were much less back then in terms of services and knowledge and so on. And I would just sit with the family and the parents and walk them through and try to take away some of their fears, you know. And at that point I realized, I think the thing that's actually most important to me is that process. I mean, thank God that I've been very, very lucky and blessed to have so many incredible clinicians join me along the way and just develop CARD in such an amazing, magnificent way. That I could, you know, for me it was more really about how can I help the families? What can I do for the moms, the dads, you know? It is just, and I feel like, you know, there's no way I would ever really know because I haven't had my own child go through this, but I've experienced it with people a lot of times.
Hi, this is Megan. I'm in first grade all by myself. My teachers are so fabulous. I like to read books. I like to go to my friends' birthday parties. I like to invite my friends to my birthday parties. I once had a sleepover with a friend. I like to have play dates with my friend. I'm the best reader in my class. I like to go to the library. I like to read different series of books. And here's how I learned to do all these things. By my card friends and Dr. Grant Pichet. Thank you, card friends and Dr. Grant Pichet.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy, and we are here to tell you about a couple of exciting events. In addition to the Ride for Autism, if you are in the Baldwin Park area, Santa Ana area, we encourage you to go to that, and Shannon could be there, so you could get to meet her as well. This weekend, I am going to be down in Del Mar at the Super Summer Swab Sensation. This is an open house parent training seminar. It's hosted by CARD and the Autism Research Group, which is out of CARD, and Act Today. And it is for military families whose child has been diagnosed with developmental delay or intellectual disability, or ASD, and it's an educational presentation on the role and benefits of genetic testing. And they are doing swabs, which that's how they call it, swabs. So it's just a simple inside cheek swab.
You don't have to draw blood.
You don't have to do anything like that. And most private insurers cover this swabbing, and TRICARE most definitely covers it. So it can, why do it? It can identify genetic conditions that underlie developmental disabilities in ASD, and it can personalize medical management for your child and inform recurrence risk of other family members. So those are three very important reasons. This is going to be done this weekend. There are morning sessions from 9 to 11 and afternoon sessions from 1 to 4. And in between those sessions where your child can get the swab, you can hear from Center for Autism and Related Disorders about their behavioral programs, ABA programs, and I am also going to be presenting on Act Today for military families, our program on grants. So CARD, Act Today, Lineagen, great event. How can they find out? Go to your...
If you go to our Facebook page, there will be two different links that you can click on that have to do with, you'll have to register to go to either the morning session or the afternoon session. I will tell you right now, it's www.eventbrite.com, then slash just the letter E / super - swab - sensation - either AM or PM session, and then there is a number that follows each one that's different, right? So for the morning one, for those of you who don't have time to go to the Facebook, for the morning one, it's 174-844-2438. For the PM session, so again, it would be super - summer - swab - sensation - PM - session - registration. The number is 174-958-30500.
And I'm going to make it simple for you for the rest of the week. You can call our office at 818-340-4010, 818-340-4010, and we will give you information. You can ask for Amy, and you can get information about this. If you are a family in the San Diego area, Southern California, if you want to drive down for it and get this genetic testing done, okay?
And I will say this too, that I know a lot of times you get afraid, people say, oh, well, insurance covers it, and then you think, oh, but what is the out-of-pocket? They will take a look at your insurance and they will give you an out-of-pocket cost if there is any. In some cases there isn't one, but if there is one, and they will give it to you guaranteed, because a lot of times you do something and then you get back the insurance thing and the insurance kicked it back. This is a guarantee, so that you will know exactly if there is a cost for you, what it will be before you do the test. I love that, because this is not about tricking you into something. This is about getting you good information if you're interested in doing this.
And you're going to get a lot of other great information about CARD's programs and Act Today's grant program. So
great
we
event.
hope you'll join us. Okay, other event coming up, Denim and Diamonds for Autism, our big gala here on October 25th. this fall at the Four Seasons Hotel. It is a fundraiser, so we do, it does have a cost attached to it, but we do want to encourage you to, if you would like to even donate, if you're somebody out there that has a service, particularly a service that maybe is of benefit to the autism community. We do have a huge auction, obviously, and a live auction. And we're calling it Denim, Diamonds, and Stars this year because it's become so star-studded. We've had such celebrity support. So I wanted to talk about our honorees for this year. The Activist Award is going to Howie Mandel. We love Howie. He's been a supporter of Act Today for 10 years, since the first Denim and Diamonds. And who doesn't love Howie Mandel? He's one of the funniest men on the planet.
Yes.
And he's been very public about his own battle with OCD. And he's very supportive of the autism community. We also have Max Burkholder getting the Activist Award. Max is the brilliant young actor who, for many, many seasons, was on the NBC show Parenthood, portraying a young man with ASD. And why he never received the Emmy for that role is beyond me, because it's definitely, and I've even read an article by a TV critic who says it's one of the best performances on television. So
Absolutely.
Max has been with us for some time as a supporter. He's done a public service announcement for us. We love Max Burkholder. We're also honoring Hollywood agent Sidel Lisi, who counts Nolan Gould, last year's Activist Award winner, as a client. And Sidel is wonderfully supportive. She gets the Golden Cowgirl Award. And getting the Visionary Award, receiving the Visionary Award, a couple who we're hoping to have on early fall to talk about their foundation, Micah's Voice, Sean and Sharonda Stockman. Many of you know Sean Stockman. You know his voice from Boys to Men, which is the most successful R&B group of all time, Shannon. Did you know that?
I believe that.
Yeah, has sold more, has had more top-selling albums than any other R&B group, not individual, but group. And I had the pleasure of meeting with Sean and Sharonda last week. I get chills thinking about how involved this family is, not just starting their own foundation named after their son, Micah, who is a 12-year-old with autism, but which also, by the way, is very similar to Act Today, Shannon, in that they fund speech therapy and educational tutoring and assessments for kids on the spectrum. So it was a passion for Sharonda. It got her out of the autism 24/7, 365, as we were feeling at the time. You know, very similar struggle and journey to ours. And Sean was like, whatever I can do to get my name out there. So they, many years ago, became public, did an interview on CNN. They've been public since that time. They're passionate about helping other children and loving parents to 3 kids. We look forward to having Sean and Sharonda on the show. They're getting the Visionary Award. And we're going to go, and you could go to Act Today's website to find out more information, act-today.org. And now Kelby's going to go to a little video, and we'll be back right after that.
Okay.
It has become a star-studded, celebrity-attended mega fundraiser. And it should, because autism is increasing so dramatically. We need more moments like this.
It's kind of like going to the Oscars, and I get to host all of these unbelievably generous people to show their support for children with autism that cannot access or afford treatment.
To be in a position where I could contribute to a cause like this is the least I could do.
Hey, now I'm gonna 500. You give me 500. Let's start at 500. I'll go 7. 6 minutes. 7. No, I don't think we're
I first want to thank everybody for coming out and really helping this Denims and Diamonds fundraiser, because autism has affected so many people, and the work that they've been doing is just off the charts and just wonderful.
10th anniversary.
Started in my backyard.
Very exciting what it has grown to. Isn't that amazing to see? We talk all the time on the show about the power of one, but look what you've created.
Thank you. And I've had a lot of support. It's not
well,
me.
I mean, of course.
Amazing board of directors for Act Today, Dr. Grant Pichet. You're on our board.
But, you know, I mean, you were the person who said, I'm going to do something in my backyard to raise some money, and you changed the world because of that, and it's a wonderful thing. And I have to say that this is such a lovely, lovely event, and it's wonderful to see so many people come out who are supportive and who donate their time to be there for the cause. I've worked 3 of the red carpets now.
I'll be working it this year.
And I'll be working it this year. And it's really amazing to hear, and you know, we can't possibly bring you every little thing that everybody says, but it is overwhelming the support that they give to our community. And you know, the first time that there was a discussion about me covering the red carpet, somebody said, I don't think Autism Live should be there. I don't know if they told you this. They said, I don't think Autism Live should be there because Shannon's talking to the parents, and the parents, it's not going to make them feel good to see all the glitz and glamour and show them, oh, you know, this, and yet you're home with a kid with autism. And so I got talked into that the first year. And then after that, I said, that's, you know what, that's not the thing.
Not true, because a lot of these parents, particularly the ones we're honoring, like Joe Montaigne, they are parents of a child with autism, and they need to be, you know, these are people in the public eye, and it takes the shame away.
Yes.
And I had this conversation with Sharonda and Sean Stockman. I asked Sean, I said, why? Because I happen to know of at least 5 A-list celebrities with children with autism that are not public.
Yes.
I don't condemn them. I don't judge them. Who am I to judge? However,
all of our kids are different.
The ones that come out, how they empower people.
Absolutely.
To me, what Joe Montaigne has done for parents with autism, Joe and Arlene, his wife, what Steve Malden, big executive in the entertainment industry, he runs KCAL, KCBS here in Los Angeles. He puts on Stephanie's Day every year. That empowers people so much. The fact that Max Burkholder and Nolan Gould, these young, big, up-and-coming celebrities, are so supportive of the cause. Last year, we had the Baldwin brothers.
Oh, my goodness.
And Atticus Baldwin has autism. And in the video...
He's been on the show here with us.
Yes, he has. You saw in the video Atticus with his dad, Danny Baldwin, his uncles, you know, with Billy. And just the support for, you know, we introduced Atticus as the latest in the dynasty, the acting dynasty of the Baldwin brothers.
And I believe that's true.
We incorporate our kids into this fundraiser. We had the Miracle Project kids perform last year. This year we have an amazing young man, Christopher Duffy, who is, we've had his mom on the show.
His mom has been on the show,
Yes. Christopher was born blind and has ASD.
Yes.
And he has the voice of an angel.
Yes,
he was given up for adoption, put into foster care, and the sister, his aunt, was haunted by the fact that Christopher was in foster care. She figured out a way to adopt him into her family, and he's going to sing that night, and there will not be a dry eye in the house.
No, he brings the house down wherever he goes.
I say when we can get celebrities involved, it's a game changer. It's a total game changer.
And I think it's an inspiration to those of us. You know, I'm somebody who doesn't go to star-studded events all the time, and
This is the only one I go to.
I like to see that you know, I always say this, that we feel like we're alone, and yet there are people in other rooms talking about us and how can we help this individual. And this is an evening when people come out of those rooms and are on red carpets and talk about us and how much we mean to them. So I think it's a really important event.
And we are actually, for our auction this year, we have what we call a paddle raise, which is you don't get an item in return, you simply give money for a program. Well, we are raising money for summer programs, and we're having a mom from the San Diego area who, Tammy Anderson, the swim chick, who is the world's authority on teaching swimming for kids with autism, we are having this mom talk about the fact that her son was found many times in bodies of water, but for the grace of God, survived.
Yeah. I know.
Anyway.
It chokes us both up, but we've been talking a lot on the show in the last couple of weeks about how important it is that, in fact, Tammy was the one that I had brought up just last week. We were talking with Dr. Graham-Pichet about how these kids, we know this is the #1 cause of death for autism is drowning. And it's so important that they get good instruction. And Tammy is doing an amazing job. Her book, Autism in Swimming, helps to instruct parents and swim instructors who aren't familiar with autism to be able to effectively teach the life-saving skills to our kids.
And because of money raised at Denim and Diamonds last year, we were able to fund a camp this summer with Tammy in San Diego for military children with autism. And we are also able to fund a wonderful camp that begins next week that CARD is doing in association with the Miracle Project.
Yes.
So those two programs are because of this event, money raised from this event. So how does it help? How does it get back directly to the autism community? In so many ways.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
it's a privilege and an honor to organize it and host it. And I'm just so happy.
It's a truly, truly wonderful event. Absolutely spectacular. We're going to keep you guys posted as we get closer to the date. We hope that we're going to have Sean and Sharonda
We'll
on.
get them on for sure. Maybe we could even convince Howie to come into the studio. We'll make sure he gets his hands washed afterwards.
Well, we won't touch his hands. We'll be kind.
And Max, we'll get over.
Yes. We've been able to interview Max before.
Yeah, we'll get him in
He's
here.
He's a lovely young man.
Yes.
We should take a break, and then we have a particularly icky and...
Speaking about drowning, right?
Yeah, nasty little story.
That's erupted on social media.
Yes, all over Facebook this morning. The pediatrician, she's a pediatrician,
yes,
isn't she?
A pediatrician in California.
Who took to her Twitter to make several comments in regards to a story about more kids dying in bodies of water. Right. Shocking. So stick with us.
Hello, fellow activists. Last week, we talked about step number 1, accept and embrace this challenge. Now we're moving on to step number 2, educate yourself. After my son Wyatt was diagnosed, I put up a sign over my home office that said Autism Central. I went to school in my home office every night after my husband and Wyatt had gone to bed because I was determined to learn everything there was about autism. That's because knowledge is power. Visit all the autism websites you can, read all the books you can, learn about all the organizations that are out there that offer free guides to help you. Some of them even offer mentors to help guide you. Find out about local support services. Find out about what educational services your child is entitled to. Get to every autism conference and seminar you can. I'll never forget the first autism conference that I went to. The first speaker was a beautiful, brilliant woman named Dr. Graham-Pichet. She spoke about a therapy called Applied Behavioral Analysis, or ABA. She told about how it could improve the life of children with autism, and in some cases, recover them. Now, despite the fact that Wyatt had been diagnosed for over a year, nobody had told me about this therapy. I remember calling my husband on the cell phone and saying, honey, I met the woman who is going to help improve Wyatt's life. And I'm happy to say that 8 years later, that's true. Are you feeling a little overwhelmed by all the information that's out there? Well, you're not alone. But try different approaches for your child. Trust your gut. Just 40 short years ago, mothers were told if their child had autism, that they would have to be institutionalized, and in some cases, they were actually blamed for their child's autism for failing to bond with the child. That was called refrigerator mother syndrome. Well, thank goodness, times have changed. So until next time, learn everything you can about autism and keep the faith. Welcome back. I'm sorry, I'm just laughing because Shannon said let's live dangerously.
I'm a little silly
She's
today.
sleep deprived.
I am sleep deprived.
Which many of you understand.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Let's get into this. California pediatrician Sonia Khan shows stunning lack of empathy for autism wandering deaths. That, by the way, was a post on Age of Autism,
Yes.
so let's just say that has a slant to it.
Yes.
The Age of Autism ran a post, from what I understand, about the sheer tragedy of 123 children,
Yes.
who wandered and drowned this recently.
Just in the last 10 days.
In the last 10
Three
days.
individuals.
Okay?
And
in the last 10 days. And, you know, I'm gonna just keep going on this story, and then we can get into this whole Autism Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter, because there was an analogy raised here. But the writer, Kim Stagliano, who posts quite a bit, said, my God, this is, you know, you would think it would evoke such reactions as, my God, that's horrible. I feel for the families there, but for the grace of God, you know, normal responses to a tragedy.
Empathetic responses.
Yes. Sometimes we get comments from people who may or may not be on the spectrum themselves, trying to put miles between the drowning and autism. NT, neurotypical kids, drown too. And of course they do. It's not to the degree that our kids on the spectrum do. It is the #1 cause of drowning, of death, in children with autism. #1 cause. It happens with such frequency, and recently with extreme frequency, and it is something to be outraged about, that more people aren't outraged to deal with a solution, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. But sometimes someone who's in a position of authority says something god-awful stupid and callous to us as well, and we have to share it with readers. This from Kim Stagliano. Meet Dr. Sonia Khan.
And when Nancy and I had a discussion about this, I saw this online this morning, and I had thought to bring it for us to discuss with you, and I said, I really don't want to give this doctor any publicity.
Yes, put it on extinction.
So put it on extinction. So you just said her name so that you guys have it, but I think we should not say her name.
Okay, we won't say her name anymore, but what I think this story shows is sometimes the extreme lack of sensitivity to autism parents and those with autism, which I do believe in the mainstream medical community, and you know, you can kill the messenger here if you'd like, but I believe there is such a divide between the mainstream medical community and autism parents, a lack of mistrust, a lack of feeling of empathy, and this is one of those manifestations. Shannon, you want to say what she wrote? Because I'm starting to get angry here.
We have to share it with me, because I don't have my
copy
of it.
Yes.
There was a discussion that we had at one point. This is a doctor, and
a pediatrician,
and she wrote WTF, and you and
WTF.
I had see, as soon as I see that from a doctor, I go,
really?
But see, this is where you go, when we talk about perspective taking with individuals on the spectrum, I go, it's not just people who are on the spectrum, because as a doctor and a professional person, that is how you're going to use your mouthpiece to the world, whether
WTF,
it's on Twitter.
is that really
WTF,
respectful?
That's not really what I would, but...
she felt that someone had drawn a correlation between vaccines and drownings.
Yeah, so she said, are you seriously suggesting that vaccines cause 3 drownings? WTF. Why are we responsible for people not watching their kids? And she also apparently, you know, I mean, it just degraded from there, and it got worse and worse and worse.
Yes.
She took issue with people talking about Autism Lives Matter. I think it's really important to be able to separate conversations that you're in. And one of the things that Kim Stagliano said was, I think you missed the point of the article. I know I had a conversation years ago with my mother when I was talking about autism, and we have to get funding for this, and we have to get and my mother, who should have been as educated as anybody about this, right, said, well, but you know there are other issues, Shannon. You know that there are other issues. And I said, yes, of course I know that there are other issues, but are you aware of the fact that more children are diagnosed with autism every day than children are diagnosed with pediatric
cancer,
AIDS, pediatric cancer, and diabetes
combined?
Combined, all of those together, and that when you look at the funding that is spent on those 3 things versus the funding on autism,
look at the federal focus on obesity.
The disparity is insane, right? And my mother's response to me was, Yes, but you can't die from autism. And this is why the conversation changes when we talk about drowning. Because yes, you can die from autism, because these kids died because they wandered into a pool because that's what they were drawn to. That, my friends, is a death by autism. So that's what the article was about. And why can't we have a conversation without dragging it into this, two sides about what, and she brings up this whole idea about how dare you say that this is a civil rights issue.
It is.
And it is a civil rights.
It is definitely a civil
Autism
rights issue.
is perhaps one of the biggest civil rights issues of our time.
Absolutely.
And it has only been exacerbated. We did not go, looking for anything, but for many people in our community, it's only been exacerbated by this new law here in California.
Yes.
We have children who are medically compromised. That is a fact.
That is a fact. And to say that they must mandatorily be vaccinated or they have to be homeschooled. First, here, this is definitely a civil rights issue, because how many families do you know that have the wherewithal to homeschool their children?
Well,
they have to work.
It's worse than even that. You have to get your child vaccinated or prove that medically they cannot handle it, which is the case for a lot of our children. And the cost for that, I want to know who's footing the bill for that. There are children that we talked throughout this whole vaccine nightmare around the measles. There were so many people who came forward and said, here is my child who has leukemia, and I'm asking you to please vaccinate your child because my child can't. And no one in that conversation left room for the fact that there are kids who have other immune dysfunction, and a lot of them are ours. Those are our kids. And it's much harder because of the climate that they have put out. You and I both know it's really hard right now to take your kid to a doctor and say, I need, even if you've already had the testing and paid for that, to get them to sign to say that it is medically not. They would have said it 4 years ago, but it's a climate in which there's a witch hunt if they sign those pieces of paper.
Yes.
It's unconscionable.
So it is a civil rights issue. And for her to draw a parallel between Black Lives Matter and Autism Lives Matter is absurd. It is not absurd, Dr. whatever your name is. It is not absurd, because Autism Lives Matter, just as Black Lives Matter, and people need to be made aware of that. So get off your high horse and get real. That's my opinion.
Get a compassion bone,
Yeah, where is
too.
empathy? If you're a pediatrician, where is it?
Buy a compassion bone if
So
you can't
I think
find
we
one.
made it clear how we feel about
How
her.
do we feel about
Now we're
that?
putting her on extinction.
She's on extinction. We're not talking about her anymore. Planned ignoring. In any case, we're out of time.
Can I put you in for the? Oh, you're not a Republican. I was going to say, can you join the debate? Because there's so many people that apparently are going to be debating next week that have the opinions of I've seen cows with more intelligence in their eyes. And sorry to the cows that I compare you to some of those people, but I think you should run.
I have no idea what you just said.
For
But in any
president. I think you should run for
I'm running for
president.
president. I'm not.
When you get on
you
your
go
side-
ahead. You've got the clothes for it.
No way.
Okay, Kelby says we have 1 minute. I just want to tell you that tomorrow on the show, we've got a great, exciting show for you. Dr. Adele Nadowski is going to be with us answering some of your questions. We also have Sarah Gershfeld with Love My Provider TV. She'll be here. And we've got some more, perhaps some surprises. We've asked for some pretty high-level guests. And we might be able to show you a clip or two from some of the interviews that I did. Dr. Timothy Shriver, huge fan.
I can't wait to see those. Yeah. Let's not forget Special Olympics this weekend.
It's crazy. You got to be watching it on ESPN.
Yeah.
And the
Lot
closing
going on.
ceremony's on Sunday.
Can't wait.
All right. So give your kiddos a hug from me.
And yourselves a hug from me.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.